Well, a game changer. The UN holding an emergency meeting of its Security Council in just minutes from now after North Korea's groundbreaking missile launch yesterday. Now, President Trump tweeted earlier, quote, just spoke to President Xi Jinping of China concerning the provocative actions of North Korea. Additional major sanctions will be imposed on North Korea today. This situation will be handled. There is the tweet from the president. Here now, retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel and host of War Stories on Fox News, Colonel Oliver North. Colonel, good to have you.
It's good to be with you, Shell. Thank you.
This meeting is expected to get underway literally in the next 3 minutes or so. But let's talk about the idea that Treasury is going to come out with even more sanctions against North Korea. We've already got plenty of sanctions in place. It seems that it's the Chinese that need to actually make sure that these sanctions are backed up and actually that they happen. What do you say to China right now?
Well, look, there's no doubt that China has all the cards in this, and it's important for President Xi and the Politburo in Beijing to understand that it is not only an existential threat to the United States, it is an existential threat to the whole world. And if the North Koreans launch something that's aimed in this direction with a warhead on it, there will be a devastating response. You're talking somewhere between 5 and 10 million refugees crossing the Tanaro and Yalu rivers, the boundary between North Korea and China, millions of people in boats, totally disrupting the Chinese economy. And so the Chinese are the ones who hold all the cards.
But they also have when you talk about the cards are their next door neighbors. And if you look at a map, and we've got it here, I want to ask you about this missile. And really, can we truly believe what Kim Jong Un is saying about this missile, about the fact that it went up as high as it did, that it traveled for 53 minutes? I mean, how powerful do you think this is? And do you think that they can actually miniaturize a nuclear warhead like they say they can?
Well, look, there's a lot of evidence to the fact that they've already been able to do so, and they've tested it. They've tested a warhead. This rocket probably wouldn't carry multiple warheads. There's no doubt about the time of flight in it. We know that. We tracked the whole thing. And so that time of flight would give it the ability to hit the east coast of the United States. An electromagnetic pulse, because a high-altitude burst of a nuclear weapon would cause that, could literally kill tens of millions of people in the middle of winter on the east coast of the United States. And the United Nations sanctions aren't going to do a darn thing to stop the North Korean program, because it's funded by Iran.
So do you think that the missile can get this far, though? Do you think it can make it to Washington? And that's the rhetoric that we're hearing from the leadership there.
Look, the time of flight indicates that that missile, before it burned out, could well have reached the east coast of the United States. I mean, those numbers don't lie. What we don't know is what they can put on the end of it. But the United Nations meeting right now, unless they're going to stop the Iranian money, and it's cash money, being transferred to help this program in North Korea, and they've got their scientists there, it's not going to work. Because none of those people have bank accounts here in the U.S.
Before I let you go, just really quick, the idea of a naval embargo has been floated around because, as you said, these sanctions, even more of them, don't seem to be having any effect on Kim Jong Un. Is the answer a naval embargo of North Korea?
Well, again, the naval embargo only works as long as you can stop the air traffic in. The North Koreans and the Iranians flying people back and forth to compare notes and test things is not going to stop with a naval embargo. It's going to make things very tough on the Korean people, but clearly the regime in Pyongyang doesn't care about that. Xi and his Politburo in Beijing have got to be understanding the United States is deadly serious about their only real way to pressure the chubby dwarf in Pyongyang is to convince Xi and his Politburo that the United States will take military action, and they shouldn't want that. It's not good for them either.
Another nickname for him, Rocket Man, came up earlier with the president. Colonel Oliver North, always great to have you on the show. Thank you, sir, very much for your time.
My pleasure.